members. Daud, Murugara, then Owen, in that order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. To the nominee, Honorable Joho. What you have said about cadastral and all that, your predecessor, when he was there, Honorable Vuria, when he came for vetting in 2022, he talked about the NIS doing prospecting for all the minerals in the country. And there are minerals in Meru County, by the way, in Beo. But unfortunately, even by the time he left, he never visited Meru. So my first question to you would be, like what Honorable Posing has said, you may be a desk CS if you are approved. What will happen, I hope, because you know Meru is cold and Mombasa is hot, and you're used to the hot weather, you may feel very cold in Meru. And the same thing, on the same, there has been exploration of copper and gold in Meru. But unfortunately, the company which was prospecting, a Kenyan company, Goita Mining Limited, has been bought out by Avira Resources Limited of Australia. So my question would be, do you think that we as Kenyans will benefit, or will the benefit be for outsiders who come prospecting in Kenya and taking away everything what is there? The second question, because that was one question, Mr. Speaker, there is a question from one of our viewers, and he says, the Auditor General, that is now for the time you were as a governor in Mombasa, that there is an Auditor General report about garbage, a 1 billion shilling garbage tender, which was given to some of your relatives in Mombasa. And there is even talk that it is not Ali Hassan or Hassan Ali Joho who handled Mombasa County. It was a relative of his. I would not mention him for, it would not be right, but it was not you who were running. You were running the political part. The other part was being run by somebody else. Can you confirm or deny? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Nominee, make a distinction between Meru and Tharaka Nithi. He's been talking about Meru. If I'm to say anything, it will be on Tharaka Nithi. The two are separate and distinct.
You are actually vetting the nominee on behalf of the people of Kenya.
No.
Not your constituencies, not your counties.
Mr. Speaker, sir, we have questions to ask.
Ask the question,
we have to draw that distinction.
But avoid the temptation to appear that you are vetting nominees on behalf of your constituencies or your counties.
I agree, Mr. Speaker. But, Mr. Speaker, some questions are relevant. We have to draw.
Sir, I'm not curtailing you at all. Go on and ask.
Thank you very much for the distinction. Nominee, you began when you were responding to a question by stating that what it is that Liberia gets right and we get it wrong. And here you were talking about maritime affairs, the sea vessels. And I don't know whether you know the historical background, why Liberia is actually the largest flag carrier in respect of ships. And that also goes with, it has the highest number of shipwrecks in the high seas, purely because most of those ships are condemned in their countries, and this is the reason why they find solace in going to Liberia to get national flag. So I do not know whether you wish Kenya also to take that route and emulate that. You respond. Number two, a question from a viewer who wants to know really whether the nominee is familiar with the minerals found in the country and where those minerals are to be found, including my own county, Tharaka Nithi, and my constituency, Tharaka. Then the third one is on fisheries. We have what are known as Kenya Marine and Fisheries Research Institutes spread across the country. Some of them are stored. They started building, but halfway they collapsed. If you are approved by this House, nominee, Do you confirm that you would embrace the policy of completing those institutes, because some of them are actually meant for marine research in the hinterland? Thank you.
Thank you, George. Don't feel like I curtailed you. I was just giving direction to everybody. Owen?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I would like to request the following information from our nominee one. Listening to you, Honorable Ali Hassan Joho, you come through as a hustler that has come from the bottom up, bottom there, coming up through many struggles. And the very many lessons that we learned from your interaction in this committee. As you sit, if approved by this committee, if you sit in cabinet, how do you help to encourage the hustlers, especially in the mining, in the fisher folks in this case in Kenya, are basically hustlers who are trying to make it in life. Probably you are a good example of that. How do you intend to really bring in that to cabinet and assist the cabinet really to help the hustlers in this country who seem to have given up? Secondly, how do you use your experience in business? I can see you have good credentials in business and you've come up as a businessman. How do you intend to bring in those credentials in your business field and your experience also as governor who chaired a cabinet at the county level to assist the cabinet to really meet the aspirations of the young people who are actually hustlers, who seem to be giving up, the Gen Zs who seem to be giving up in life? How do you intend to bring that experience to help Kenyans? My second question is that specifically to the marine area, there is a marine spatial plan that has been in the works for many years. It has never succeeded, it has never taken off. Many people in the marine industry are waiting for that spatial plan. How soon can this country realize a spatial plan in the marine area? I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
You can take those, nominee.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Let me begin, first of all, by the spatial plan issue. And I believe strongly in planning from an informed position and real-time data management and collection. Basically, if even land use is critical, that is properly planned. So this, for me, is urgent, and I'm going, if approved, to ask that it be expeditiously done, because it is important. Honorable Owen, sorry, I'm starting with you, Owen. My experience as a businessman and as a public officer, and I am glad that I've served in different spectra. I was once an assistant minister, got a lot of guidance at that time from the Honorable Speaker. It was my mentor, actually, in Parliament. I participated strongly in matters of legislation. I remember the NTSA formation was done under my watch at the 10th Parliament, Mr. Speaker. And the acumen stature of business I got is for literally experience. And Mr. Speaker, I've run quite fairly big business, and I bring that on board to be able to capture the ideology of a business sector, combine it with public sector, so that we can be able to deliver on behalf of the country. Mr. Speaker, I want to assure Honorable Owen, those wavuvis or fisher folks or artisan fishermen, they need help. They need help to be organized. They need, for example, we must find means, whether by way of partnership or government funding or private sector. And this, for me, is an area of interest because I am aware of the Go Blue conversation. Many young Kenyans have been sponsored, but we need really now to start sponsoring them for deep sea fishing. Because even if they use what they have today, they can achieve that much. But if we get them to go deep sea fishing, then now for me, that will be the game changer. And that is what I will I will undertake to do if this committee approves me. Mr. Speaker, on matters of stalled projects, government should not have any stalled project. You must plan well. Mheshimiwa Murugara. Government should not have stalled projects. We must develop plans that do work. So that when you start something, you must finish. And like Owen asked, I gained that experience from private sector practice. Value for money and timely delivery is critical. So expect that we'll have a conversation. First of all, I'm not in a position today to say I know all the stalled projects, but we will have a conversation and develop a clear plan to be able to complete the stalled projects. We don't want a situation where we embark on new projects and we leave the old ones stalled. My brother Dawood, you talked about NIS prospecting report. I'm not in a position right now to comment about it. But I have an issue on communication that must improve. And I would urge even my colleagues in other ministries that ministries must help the president to communicate to Kenyans. If we had a clear communication plan, you probably wouldn't need this opportunity to ask, what do we have in the country? So I will go to the ministry if approved, learn what they have, and I promise I will communicate to the Kenyan public of what they have. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Dawood asked on exploration of gold and copper in Meru, and the fact that the miners or the mining company exchange hands. I think the fact that companies do exchange hands doesn't mean the law on royalties change. It should remain. And they should continue to pay royalties, both to the communities, county government, and national government. So I doubt if the government will lose. The only thing that I am concerned about, and I think we collectively should, is the testing of minerals. Whether we have that capacity in the country. Because I'm told, I took some time and called some minister friend I have in another country that's very successful in mining. I'm told in instances where you mine copper, you are very likely to get good deposits of gold. But what the miners do is that they only report copper. So therefore, we urgently need to enhance our testing capacity and ground truthing. And I will happily visit you in Meru, in Tharaka, in Migori. I'll go to Suna, I'll go to Kikuyu, I'll go to Turkana. Turkana has the potential of exporting large quantity of what they call mango tilapia. Huge market for mango tilapia in DRC. I have to go there and see how we can improve on that. I will go to Busia for gold and value addition. I'll go to Kakamega and the larger Western. Everywhere where there's potential for minerals, I will go to ensure, first of all, we involve the communities, we work with the counties, we secure the communities, we engage on matters of environmental impact. So I will be visiting every part of this country, Mr. Dawood, including Tharaka and Meru. And Pokot. And Kosin is a fairly blessed man. I hope he'll host
everywhere.
And everywhere.
Yes.
But I want Kosin to undertake that he'll host me when I go there. So prepare some sumptuous cuisine. On the 1 billion tender, I saw it. Mr. Speaker, let me confirm. This is a matter that was audited, dealt with, investigated by the anti-corruption and the DC and everybody, and it was concluded. First and foremost, it has never been 1 billion. The contract, yes, it was a tender advertised. Someone won the bid, not from my family. My family is in the logistics business. They are extremely busy. In fact, Sometimes I struggle to encourage them to help me with social programs and our foundation. They are too busy. They have no time to do government business. And by the way, Mr. Speaker, just to put to the record, my family does not do business with any government entity. We are in logistic business in Tanzania, in Uganda, in South Sudan, in Dubai, and here in Kenya. So please be assured, my family is not in any way involved in that tender. And the actual amount that was being investigated, Mr. Speaker, was just about 200 million, paid to the company that won the bid over a period of 3 years. The way it is portrayed is like I went to the county coffers, issued a check of 1 billion and gave to my cousin. That is not the case. It was a tender, advertised, someone applied. It's only that I cannot mention the name of the guy who won the tender. But even him, he did bid in that tender for just helping us to achieve certain environmental standards. He was already a big billionaire. So he's just set up just where, and he outbid everybody. So in the period of 3 years, Mr. Dawoodi paid 290 million. And it was investigated and concluded.
We also received some memorandum on that. You've answered all the three. Now let's go to Robert Mbui.
Mr. Speaker, I haven't answered the issue on Liberia.
Okay.
And it is very important.
Okay.
And I want to inform Honorable Murugara that, yes, there may be historical issues. But you know what? You call them abandoned or condemned vessels. I want to enlighten you. I'm actually going to encourage those condemned vessels to come to Kenya for one purpose: destruction. It's a big business opportunity. Honorable Murugara, I don't know whether you are aware. The maritime standards set on the time period a vessel should be sailing is very strict. Where do I see the opportunity? I have seen India is big, Singapore is big on vessel destruction. So I would also encourage private sector here. Let those condemned vessels come, we demolish them, and help our steel industry. It'll be a game changer for our steel industry. One, first of all, the owner of the vessels pays to bring the vessel, and they pay for destruction, and we remain with the steel. So it is what we do with it. For me, so Mr. Murugara, I see there a great opportunity that we must engage in. Sumra atafurahi sana.
Robert, then Stephen, then Didoras, in that order.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have just a quick comment and then one question. To the nominee, you know, Africa is rich in mineral resources and other raw materials, yet we remain poor in the world of community of nations. And from my research, and Kenya is also very rich in minerals. And like you've said, you know, it contributes very, very small percentage of our GDP. But despite that, nominee, there are also a lot of billionaires, not very many, but a number of billionaires in Kenya out of this issue of minerals. So maybe you need to help Kenya to be able to achieve its objectives in this industry. But then I have a question, and it's not mine, it's a submission, and that will help us test your integrity. And I've heard you say you want to clear the air on matters out there in public domain. This is a submission that was given to this committee in an affidavit, but did not conform to Section 6/9 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act. But we have agreed that it's important that we field these questions for you to clear the air. Now, this is a gentleman who says that as governor of Mombasa County, your administration awarded a tender to construct a county stadium at a cost of taxpayers' money to the tune of 1.8 billion. Now, a report by the Auditor General for the financial year that ended June 2023 showed that the county stadium was yet to be completed, this is many years later, despite the construction beginning in 2018. Now, consequently, the Office of the Auditor General could not ascertain the value for money of the expenditure incurred on the proposed development of the sports complex, and this could therefore risk cost escalation, and project termination. Kindly explain the extent of your involvement in the matter and whether the stadium has since been constructed so that you could allay the public.
Stephen?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Welcome, nominee, Governors and Ali Joho, former. Blue economy is 1.5 trillion US dollars globally, whereby it creates more than 30 million jobs. And my question is that as you approved or get favor from this committee, you need to look at Kenyans and the young people on how to tap in this space of 30 million jobs to make sure that the young people in this country get those opportunities. On a lighter one, I've perused your questionnaire which you filled, and I believe you have a number, but I think it's a typo error. You gave the number for Safaricom, 0722 000 000. Can you clarify?
Thank you, Mr.
We'll take the next. Russell?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Hassan, as soon as I am here, as soon as your name hit the media, people in Mombasa were on the streets, young and old, all of them. A few days later, one of the MPs said, now Hassan Ali Joho should become a cabinet. He should not come back to local politics. My first question is there potential of conflict that you want to be a cabinet minister and also interfere with local politics in Mombasa? You need to clear there. The second question, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Hassan Joho is a businessman, and you deal with many things, logistics, jewelry, all of that. We are giving you mining. Mining today is done by the locals in Navakolo, Ikolomani, Homa Bay, in Moyale and Marsabit, where they do gold and other minerals, and they eke out living through that. Tell us, we as Kenyans, you are looking for private investors. Do we see the potential that you get private investors so that the locals, the communities, will be locked out? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Nominee, answer those three.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First of all, let me just clarify that my family is not in jewelry business. We are in logistics, obviously diversified a little bit in real estate and trading. Let me ascertain that we are in this industry that is called service industry. We don't work with government. We've never worked, my family has never worked with government. We don't do business with government. We have a straightforward business, and I assure you that we will not do business with government. We have enough already, as it were, to deal with. On the question of the comments by the Honorable MP, no, in Mombasa, on the same one, on the comments. I want to tell you, I now serve the nation. And in fact, I will make efforts to even unite those that are in Mombasa. I must help the president unite the country. And therefore, I must rise above local, divisive conversations. Every Kenyan must be served equally across board. So if there's anything I'm going to do, is to actually endeavor to unite Kenyans and even leaders even more. So be rest assured, politicians have their space, they can say what they say, but if I'm approved, I serve the nation, and I want to assure this House I will do anything to see a Kenyan that is united. Mr. Speaker, on my telephone number, let's begin there. I wonder the kind of calls that I'm going to get today. But you missed out on a digit, so I'll tell you later. Because I can be salimiwad. But yes, it has those many zeros. I may have gotten some shares maybe from on a light note, Mr. Speaker. So I want to also say that I agree with the Honorable Stephen on the space in the blue economy. And Mr. Speaker, if there's one thing that this country needs to focus on, is mining and blue economy. I believe if we take the right strategy, we deploy the right strategy, we can even remove ourselves from the hole of debt using our own resources. We can. We can. And we should. And therefore, I'll make it my business to ensure systems that work are deployed, processes that are efficient are used, so that we also can help this country move from the burden it is in today. And I believe strongly that this ministry is a ministry of wealth creation and employment opportunity. And that will be my focus if you approve me. Mr. Speaker, someone touched, Honorable Roberts, you touched on Mombasa Stadium and the GDP contribution. By the way, from what I read, when I was doing my research, I saw that Kenya was reporting 1% contribution to the GDP. But that included Base Titanium, which was actually the largest mining company in Kenya, which closed shop and left. So even if you remove now what Base Titanium used to contribute, we could be even lower to maybe 0.5%. And there, we quickly need to start moving so that we embark on getting real investment and in real time. Finally, Mr. Speaker, is the stadium. I saw that, affidavit. Now let me tell you what Mombasa was planning to do at that time. The idea of building a stadium was conceptualized around 2019 towards the end. We designed, we wanted to build a world-class stadium. Designed, put it up for tender. The tender was won by a Turkish company in partnership with a local company. So the stadium that we had wanted to build in Mombasa was a modern stadium that is built mostly by steel. And that is why physically you may not see the work done when you go to the ground. But I want to assure this House, and this has been a matter of investigation. It has been investigated by the Public Works. Even that Auditor General report, when it went to the Senate, it was cleared. It was not investigated by the Ministry of Sports, that all the earthworks have been completed. So what was remaining is to bring the steel bit of the stadium and just install, which I was made aware that 70% thereabout of it had been completed in Turkey. And it was just not a basic stadium. In there was multi-purpose hall, amphitheater, Olympic-sized swimming pool, and the rest of the facilities. Now, where we faced the challenge, 2019, we award a contract. 2020, hit hard by COVID. And obviously, as a leader, like many of you did, is to first of all find means and ways to cushion your people. Mombasa, at that time, announces 50% waivers on all levies because of COVID. So a sudden drop, significant drop of our local revenue. Then Subsequently, the Revenue Allocation Commission re-engages on a new formula that made Mombasa lose 2 billion shillings. 2 billion shillings. We moved from an allocation of 8 billion to 6 billion. So that completely ruined every single plan we had to complete even that. I even remember I placed a call at that time to the president and informed him that we have awarded a contract that is 1.7 billion. COVID has forced us to waive levies to cushion Kenyans. Our allocation is lost by 2 billion. How are we going to pay for this stadium? And I invited at that time the national government, please come on board and help us to complete this. Because it's already, as I speak today, I'm aware it's already completely done in Turkey. If we have resources, we pay and they install. If they come within 2 months, you have a stadium up and running because all the earthworks are completely done. So I assure you, first of all, it's not 1 billion that has been paid. What has been paid for earthworks and part of the steel, and also 30% of the steel is already in Mombasa. If you visited the stadium today, you will see they've already put up one side of the stadium as a sample. So, first of all, amount spent, no, not 1 billion, just about 400 million. Earthworks are done. 30% of the steel is in Mombasa, 70 is in Turkey, and I hope, and I want to encourage even my current governor to engage. And I know he's doing it. He's talking to national government because they're still struggling with the resources. So that allegation, be rest assured, tender was done above board, money, value for money for certain, investigation completed, no issues at all was raised by the relevant institutions. So, what was the question, Mr. Speaker?
The question was, by bringing in mega international investors, are you going to disenfranchise the local artisan miners?
No, this is what I think should happen. Obviously, for us to make meaning of what we exploit, we must encourage international investors. But I also appreciate that if Kenyan people or companies do invest, then we have a greater advantage because all the dollars that are paid now will land where? Here. And for me, there's two fronts. One, artisanal miners can be organized. And by the way, we should even look at the law if we can encourage that if you are licensing a big company, for example, to mine copper, say in Busia County, we can, in the same spirit, organize local people. If we're allocating 10 acres, why can't we hire, for example, 2 acres, train local artisanal miners, equip them to make sure they are safe, because safety is a great issue, so that they can also participate in the building of the nation. And that really is a matter we are going to engage in collectively so that we cushion people, so that exploitation does not negatively impact the people of Kenya.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Hassan, what I am saying is by dint of having international conglomerates to do mineral prospecting or excavating mineral, there are those communities, those individuals who are doing the mining, and they can easily be removed by virtue of not having the license, by virtue of environmental impact assessment, safety, excuses that actually locks the locals out. The reassurance I want is locals should not be locked out. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, first of all, I believe in the principle that primarily first beneficiary should be at the center where the local is. And we will do everything possible to cushion that local. And I said it earlier, and I want to repeat it again. We must equip them to be able to do real business. Number one, train them in matters mining, equip them, matters of safety, and even give them basic business skill so they know value for money. For example, Mr. Mr. Speaker, in Migori County, the artisanal miners, they go for small collection. Somebody just wants to collect enough to eat for the day. They go in very dangerous or hazardous environment. When they think they've gotten what will give them that meal for that day, they go home. Don't you think there's a need for us as a country to engage them, to tell them if you do it in a much more organized way, you can actually change your life for a long period of time. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to assure the honourable member that...
Point of order. I was hoping that you would say something like this, that you'd promote a legislation, like happens in many countries, that if a foreign investor is coming in, they must have a component of local shareholding, so that we don't only benefit, because when an investor comes in, we only benefit from their investment and employment and tax in Kenya, but they repatriate the entire amount of their profit. So we should be looking towards that, or else the country will be owned by foreigners.
No, without a doubt, and I take your comments very, very seriously, that, that this requires a very deeper conversation with all of us, and I'm happy to assure you that we'll take it on. Like other countries, like you've rightly said, other countries do. Even though we are a liberal economy, we'll find ways to ensure we cushion the Kenyan population.
We have a law on local content, and if you apply and improve it, if an Australian or French company comes to mine here, and they make $1 billion profit in a year, that is money out of our economy. If 40% of that money goes to local shareholding, that is money into our economy. The most important thing is to structure such that the local content is not used to create a cabal of a few super rich against the rest of Kenyans. The local content could be a county, could even be government shareholding through parastatals in your ministry. The government also has a duty and a right to incorporate companies on behalf of the public and have them be shareholders in those mining activities. If a foreign bank makes 30 billion profit in Kenya, that's money out of our economy. If a local bank makes 10 billion profit in a year, that is money into our economy. We'll take the okay.
I think, Mr. Speaker, I couldn't agree more. And probably that may be the reason as to why the National Mining Corporation was formed, one of the reasons. And because National Mining Corporation is not fully functional today. And Madam Boss, this, first of all, may be the first area of potential. Get them to partner with other investors so that they can achieve that local content. And I will strongly propagate that it happens. Thank you.
In fact, before I call Sharia, at independence, nominee, the government had ICDC that was a shareholder for the government and the people of Kenya virtually in each and every international investment that came in, be it Coca-Cola, whichever you name it, and they were holding this on behalf of the people of Kenya and generating wealth for the people of Kenya. Now we'll take the last four in a row, Honorable Sharia, Honorable Mishi, Honorable Mukami, and Honorable Caleb Amisi in that order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mheshimiwa Joho, there are numerous abandoned mines